Welcome back, everyone. What we're watching, episode 28. TJ and I decided this is our quarter and three pennies episode,
Yes.
making that change machine just work overtime.
Shooting out pennies, man. Be careful if you have small children because that's eye level. I'm coming in hot.
All right, now with this, are you taking all three or are you leaving one in the little cup?
So, okay, I don't mind, reminding the fans of the narration that goes through my mind whenever I go into a place and it's not my change. So you can imagine if it is my change, I'll take that. And I just keep on going, man. If it's my change, I'll take that. If it's found money, it's a yoink. And you're just waiting for the cloud bubble to have the Comic Sans graffiti in there, man.
Now, if it's the need one, take one, leave one little, it used to be like a little red thing.
Yeah, they still have those.
Okay. If you see one in there, it's not yours. If you see one in there, but you don't need it, do you leave it or do you take that?
Only if it's silver. Okay, so I'm not a total douche. All right, so if I go to a place and I'm paying with my card, right, I don't need change at all, right? As long as there's no silver in there, I won't take it because I'm not going to take the time to count. I'm never going to give a cashier change that I haven't counted first. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if you choose to count it behind me because you have to, cool. But I'm going to count it to make sure that I'm giving you the correct change because I don't want to be a douchebag. So if it's silver in there and I can quickly count, oh, that's a quarter and a nickel. Yo, here's 30 cents towards my tab. Let me put the rest of it on my card. But if it's it could be 50 pennies. I'm not taking the time to count those.
I understand that. When I lived in Maine and we had school get out for the semester, my building was right next to a parking lot. And so a lot of times in the morning after I did my morning stuff before work started, I would go out and walk up and down the parking lot to get some steps in. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 or 3 weeks, I probably found almost $5 in change from people who, they get out or like a dime drops or a quarter drops and stuff right. like that. And I was thinking about it because I went back there and visited this last month when we went to Maine, and I'm like, I bet I could get out of my car right now and walk up and down this. But at that point, I'm 1,000 miles now away from where I live. Right. Am I really going to take the time to get out and do that? Now, if I got out of my car to go visit somebody and I look down and there's some money, oh yeah, I'm picking that up.
Well, so and I post about this fairly often when people say random things to me as I'm going into public places. So one day I'm walking into a gas station and a man looks at me and says, "Hey man, you should be proud. Why are you looking down at the ground and not holding your head up high?" And I was like, "It's not a pride thing, man. I love who I am. I'm looking for found money." So I mean, that's ultimately what it is, man. It's like there's always, and we talked about it. Pennies spend. If I see a penny, if I see a penny on heads, and look, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. So if a penny is on tails, I might not take it. But if a quarter, it could be sitting right side up like in The Exorcist. I'll take that quarter.
Look, I don't fault. I'll take the pennies if they're on tails because I'll kick them till they get heads.
You just flip them over and be like, "Oh, it's on head."
Nowhere is it ever written that you can't kick that joker till it gets on heads.
Right.
And as somebody said to me one time, "Joey Harris, you don't have any sense." And I said, "It's true, but I don't have any dollars either."
If people tell me I don't have any sense, I'm like, right, that's why I'm looking for them. Absolutely. Come on now. Absolutely. Found money.
I was down the street from our alma mater one time. I don't know if I was working there or it was after I was working there. It doesn't matter. I was down the street. I was at the car wash. And somebody come by driving. He said, "Brother, I hate to do it, but we got, it's the story. We got to get somewhere. We're low on gas. Anything you can spare." I said, "Brother, do you have a nickel?" Now he didn't ask me for $5. He didn't ask me for 20. brother, do you have a nickel? At that point, I don't even care if you're scamming me. Here's your nickel, my friend.
That's all you need.
He said, do you have a nickel? And I'm going, let's take the man at face value. What is my nickel? How much farther is my nickel going to get him?
Right.
Maybe he say $5, but he said nickel, and maybe he said, "Oh, I've committed to the bit now." Only thing I can think of.
I told not just the fact of asking for money, and I'm gonna try and make this quick. I told you the story. One of my first experiences moving to the area that I'm in, I go to my favorite DG, and the guy, as I'm walking in, says, "Hey man, do you have a quarter?" And I'm like, "Oh snap. Most people ask for the stuff that folds. This man asked for 25 cents. You know what, brother? I don't have a quarter, but I have a nice ham sandwich I can give you." And he looks back at me, "What kind is it?" Hold up! You were just asking for 25 damn cents. You take this sandwich, Nathan.
I was thinking about that today. You'd be surprised. Well, maybe you wouldn't. The number of times that you pop through my brain during the day. I can always depend on TJ that if we're discussing stuff like this, that just comes off the top of our head. I'm like, dude, weird thought. And you're like, let's go with it and all that.
Yeah.
You will always assign just a random name to somebody. You commit. Do you know the one that I thought of?
Which one?
It was when I was talking about, it was last December, we were recording the podcast that I was going to put out after Christmas. I think it was before Christmas and I said that we were at that weird time in between Christmas and New Year's where some people got to go back to work. Right. And you don't really even have anything to do. And you're like, what is this? Why don't you let us go home, Sebastian? Because we were talking about the way that the calendar was. Yeah, they probably let you go home like a day and a half early for Christmas, and you're like, I got the best boss ever. And then like 5 days later, it's not New Year's yet, but you got to go in. You want to take vacation days, but your wife's like, no, you got to save that for the summer. You're like, Sebastian.
I don't know where that started, but because we all the time say, you know what they say, you know, like they always say this, or you know how they say, and I'm like, let's assign a name to these days, man, because they say a whole lot of stuff.
That's why I say, who is they?
I tell you exactly who they are every time.
And that's what I want, even if it hurts me. Even if it hurts me, I don't want to hear they. That, folks, in your own personal life, you do what you want to do. But in situations like that, don't bring me no pronouns.
Don't bring me no. I don't need a they. I need
to know who it was. Well, they
somebody told me.
Who is they? Yeah.
Right. Who's somebody? If you are not prepared to stand on who told you, you got nothing to say to me.
I had a RA again when I was in Maine. He was only my RA for one semester because he was leaving school and going with like Habitat for Humanity, something like that. He was, going to build houses or help people. He's a very nice guy. But he was my RA in the fall. He wasn't coming back for the spring. In the meantime, he said let's say we were coming back and everybody was going to move back in for the semester January 14th. RAs were coming back on the 11th for training. He couldn't leave until the 12th.
Okay.
So he stayed through the Christmas holidays and he helped out, and they like let him do stuff with housekeeping. And he said, I'm still technically an RA. I can cover things because we were going, we were coming south for Christmas and stuff like that. I said, that's perfect. His name was Cody. We were getting ready to where he was leaving. I had one of his residents show up, Jacob. And Jacob was just one of those residents that you hate to see coming. Jacob, you know you're not supposed to be back here. Oh, no, no. Cody knew that I was coming back and he gave me permission. He threw Cody under the bus. I said, oh, really? Oh, yeah, and all that. And I said, just a second. Hey, Cody. And Cody came out of that room, brother, and he thought he was long gone. He was throwing Cody up under the bus, and Cody backed that bus up and said, I didn't tell you a darn thing.
Right.
I mean, just the color went out of his face. Well, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm leaving tomorrow, but I'm certainly glad I'm here today.
Right, because you would have tried to throw me under the bus.
Yes,
get out.
Yeah. But anyway, what we're watching, episode 28, we are here because we are finishing up our look at all of the Die Hard films. We finally reached Die Hard number 5, A Good Day to Die Hard. It's a 2013 American action thriller film and the 5th and final installment of the Die Hard film series. The film was directed by John Moore and written by Skip Woods and stars Bruce Willis as John McClane in his final film in the franchise. The main plot finds McClane traveling to Russia to get his estranged son Jack, an undercover CIA agent, out of prison. He is soon caught in the crossfires of a global terrorist plot. Alongside Willis, the film also stars Jai Courtney, Sebastian Koch, Cole Hauser, and Yulia Snegier. Talks of a 5th Die Hard film began before the release of the 4th installment, Live Free or Die Hard, with Willis affirming that the latter would not be the last in the series, but pre-production did not start until September 2011, when John Moore was officially announced as the director. Filming began in April 2012, primarily in Budapest, Hungary. So what do you think about them going back for a 5th installment?
Prior to it coming out, at the point I was in my life in 2012, 2013, I was like, oh, it's a cash grab. I didn't know what other stories that they could tell. And when I found out that they were going to Russia, I was like, oh, and this is the first Die Hard not on American soil? What authority does he have? So it's like I was up in the air on it. And fans, to let you all know something, I had never seen this Die Hard until I got my box set. It was like the 5th Indiana Jones for me. It was just the one that I just never watched. So now that I've gotten into it, Jesus, let's get into it.
A Good Day to Die Hard premiered in London on January the 31st, 2013, coincided with unveiling of a Die Hard mural at the Fox lot and was released in North America on February the 13th, 2013. Unlike the film's predecessors, it received negative reviews from critics who called it cliched and the worst of the series. It is the first film produced by TSG Entertainment since distributor 20th Century Fox's departure from Dune Entertainment upon the completion of their distribution contract at the end of 2012. So, the plot. In Moscow, Viktor Chigarin, a high-ranking corrupt Russian official, plans to incriminate former billionaire and government whistleblower Yuri Komarov in a rigged trial unless he hands over a secret file believed to contain evidence incriminating Chigarin. Separately, Jack McClane, arrested after an assassination attempt, negotiates for a shorter sentence by offering to testify against Komarov. Jack's father, NYPD Detective John McClane, who has not been in touch with his son for several years, learns he is in trouble and flies to Russia. As John approaches the courthouse where Komarov is on trial, an explosion orchestrated by Chigarin's henchman Alec occurs in the courthouse, and Jack breaks free with Komarov. John confronts Jack, but their dispute is cut short as Alec and his men chase them down and MRAP through Moscow.
So first, we got to have some continuity from the last one. Winstead's here. That's right. The daughter McClane is taking John to the airport. So that's our continuity from the last film. And guess what? Their relationship is still repaired. So that's a win, people. Let's go, John.
That's what I was going to ask you, though. we have seen John have a strained relationship with his wife, his daughter, and
Right.
now his son. It's like this, and folks, if you've been tuning in and watching this series, expecting PG talk, you have not found it, so don't expect it now. But it's like the old adage about if you run into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day, you're the asshole. Do we think John is the asshole, or is he
Oh,
just
big time facts.
misunderstood?
It's so. Are we dissecting John now, or do you want to save that for the review? Because I have some my armchair therapist idea of what's really going on with John. I mean, it's just he's focused on his job, bro. I mean, they even talk about it in this film. Jack telling his father, you're good at killing bad guys. Like that is your strength. Not to take anything away from his bad guy killing, because you think about the number of people that he saved, that's a pro. But there's so much that goes into being a dad. And a lot of people, I feel, may take it for granted, because either you didn't have or you underestimate everything that good father put into a situation. So it's just like he wasn't. And I mean, I think this film is interesting because it does look at something that we don't always look at. We see these action movies and we applaud the hero, not thinking about them potentially neglecting relationships in their personal life, and this put a mirror on it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that you're right about that. I feel like John is also the type of guy who, whatever deficiencies he had or whatever his needs are, he is terrible at communicating that to the people that he loves or even the people that need to know.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, looking at the commentary and the writing in this film, while it wasn't, in my opinion, the strongest compared to the others, and then obviously critics have said that already, it was very upfront with it. I mean, John looks at his son. Do you need a hug? And Jack's like, we're not a hugging family. And John's like, you're damn right. That's not something to be proud of, but that's who he is, though, and he owns it. But, it's just like you talk about not being able to communicate. Clearly, he's not able to communicate, and he's not really in touch or with his emotions or able to share, his emotions comfortably. I mean, if you can't give a hug to your child, I'm not passing judgment, but I'm saying it does show evidence of a lack of communication.
Right. Hiding in a safe house, John finds out that Jack is a CIA operative and has been on an undercover operation for the past 3 years. Jack's partner, Mike Collins, demands the file's location from Komarov so the CIA can bring Gagarin down. He agrees on the condition that he and his daughter are given safe passage out of Russia. The group are ambushed by Gagarin's men. Collins is shot and killed while the McLeans and Komarov escaped, making their way to a hotel to get the safe deposit box key containing the file. There they meet up with Komarov's daughter, Irina, as planned. Alec and his men burst in and tie up John and Jack, taking Komarov hostage. Irina confesses to informing on them. Jack breaks free of his ties and he and John kill most of the guards present. Alec and Irina, with Komarov steal their hostage, return in a MiG-24 attack helicopter and try to kill them, but they escape.
So, very early in that quick synopsis that you gave, you talk about Jack's partner, the young man who played the bad guy in Too Fast, Too Furious from Dazed and Confused. So as soon as I saw him pop up on screen and found out he was Jack's partner, I was immediately like, oh, that's the bad guy from Too Fast, Too Furious. He's gonna turn on Jack immediately. That's what I immediately said. And then he got shot in the face. So I had to reevaluate. So that goes to let you know, folks, you can't hold on to a person that played one role in a different film, because I promise, as soon as he came on screen, my anxiety kicked up, and I was like, he's the one that's gonna screw Jack over. And no, he got shot in the face. So yeah.
Now I realize that now I have to go see a movie with you and my wife, because when she and we had just started dating, and I had my birthday coming up, and we were off that day for MLK Day, just the way that it fell.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, come see me, I'll take you out to a movie. So we went out to a movie with her parents, and we went and saw that Chris Pine. They did a Chris Pine Jack Ryan movie.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so we're in there, and he meets up with this guy who's his driver, and they're going up to the room, and she's like, I like that driver. He's a good guy. He's going to be my guy during that. 10 seconds later, he turns on Chris Pine's Jack Ryan and tries to kill him. And I'm like, you're a bad judge. So now I need you two there, and I'll sit in between you, and you all like can both tell me what you think is going to happen.
Look, first, and again, since you mentioned drivers, always got to show love to John McClane's drivers in these Die Hard movies. The man serenaded him with some Frankie Sinatra, who definitely had to pass up on this role too. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Yeah.
See, that is my note at the end. I wasn't going to bring up contractually obligated because this time he's actually in there. But since he was dead, they're like, listen, it's going to be, we're going to be over budget as it is because we're not shooting in the United States. So let's throw some money at Frank and give him something to do and all that. So it took 5 films, but Frank finally fulfilled his contractual obligation.
Finally got in there, baby. Applause.
That night, Jack and John steal a car full of weapons, drive into Pripyat, Ukraine, where the safe deposit box with the file is located, only to find that Kamarov, Irina, and Alec are already there, and shouts out to Jack, who's saying, we're doing this because this is where all the drug dealers and the weapons smugglers, that's where they come to party, and they can't bring them in the club, so they put them in the trunk.
Oh, man. I got it.
John feels suspicious at the scene since there are many men loading containers in the vehicles while instead they're supposed to only get a secret file. The safe deposit box with the supposed file is a secret passage to a Chernobyl-era vault containing $1 billion worth of weapons-grade uranium. It turns out there is no secret file, and Kamarov and Irina have concocted a scheme to steal the uranium deposit to make big money in the black market. Kamarov kills Alec and calls Shigarin to gloat as the latter is killed by one of Kamarov's men while he is in a sauna.
Listen, before our M. Night Shyamalan twist, when we find out there is no file and it's the uranium, I immediately went back to earlier in the film when John says to Jack, something don't seem right here. Something ain't right. And John, Jack wanting to be seen as a professional to his father because he's been doing this for however long. I mean, hey, he's a spy, so it takes a little while. They don't just make you a spy in a week. So he wants to be seen as a professional. He's like, I'm a professional. But clearly, somebody didn't do their due diligence. And I'm so glad I could say due diligence. I saw somebody the other day try and say it, and it was horrific.
Is that like, what's her name? The clip of the woman, I want to say it was Nigella Lawson, but it may not be. The woman who says microwave?
No, this is completely different.
Okay. Oh, they used it correctly, but in the wrong. I mean, they said it correctly, but in the wrong.
No. She didn't say it correctly. She used it correctly. She was talking about her husband being in the backyard, and he was mowing the lawn and doing the weed eating. He was doing his due diligence, but she said he's doing his due diligence. Like she said so many times. She tried to say it. And like she would throw other letters in and syllables, and her husband
doing what he's supposed to do. All right,
and that's exactly because He's like, how are you gonna go live on me doing yard work and not say the word correctly? Say it now. And she's like, "Da-da-da-da-da." He's like, see, you can't even. It's due diligence. And she's like, that's what I said. Da-da-da-da-da.
That's the only thing you have to do in those situations. Double down on
Yes.
what you're saying. Yeah, that's
Fully.
exactly.
That's exactly what I said. Just
now,
don't get an attitude about it. Just double down.
Now, speaking of due diligence and double downing and stuff like that, they totally did it here. All right. And again, I'm going to mess it up, but you'll get what I'm saying. Pripyat, Ukraine is correct. They are exactly in the right space. But as everybody knows, I also do this wrestling podcast, and there was a famous series of special back when WCW was around called Clash of the Champions.
I know that.
And in Clash of the Champions 9, New York Knockout, Ric Flair took on Terry Funk in an I Quit match. All right. They call it Clash of the Champions 9, New York Knockout. All right. They leaned into that. And all right.
Right.
And you're thinking New York Knockout. They're in New York City. No, they're in New York State. So it is still New York Knockout.
Still New York, right.
But they're in Troy, New York, which is in northern upper state. They're upper state New York, but they are still in it. Anybody else would say, yes, they are in Pripyat, Ukraine, but they're in Chernobyl.
In Chernobyl. All right?
Yes. Yeah. So anybody would say, we're going to what? Which I believe they did. He does say, we're going Chernobyl. What?
This portion of what we're watching is brought to you by the KFC Double Down.
Do they still even make that?
Oh, no. You're talking about the sandwich that is consistent of 2 patties? No.
They had something there. Should bring it back.
I'm saying. To all those people who don't eat bread, I'm pretty sure they love that sandwich.
As John and Jack enter the vault, Kamarov pretends that he is glad that they're coming to save him. But Jack realizes the uranium in the vault and figures out the whole scheme. He's just been, I am so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much for arriving.
As he and John prepare to apprehend Kamarov, Irina and some henchmen come to her father's aid. As they prepare to leave, Jack follows Kamarov while John goes after Irina, who is escaping in the helicopter. He sneaks into the rear compartment. Irina tries to protect her father by firing the helicopter's guns at Jack, but John is able to bring the helicopter off balance by driving a truck out of the cargo section while it's secured to the helicopter by a chain. And the guy's like, I can't get it's trying to go. He's trying to explain it, and she's like, and he's
so I don't know, and maybe it's just me. Again, we're not in the United States. If anybody's in the United States that is an antagonist to one John McClane, the last thing you want to do is go to a helicopter. Correct. That's the last thing you want to do, because John McClane can take a helicopter down with a walking stick and a pack of Nestle's water. Okay, that's all he needs, and he'll take it down.
That and a pack of nabs. The nabs is just for him. After he takes the helicopter down, he might be a little hungry.
Might be just a little hungry.
And you don't want his blood sugar to dip.
Don't want it to dip because John is getting up there in age and he's got to keep it on point.
Kamarov taunts Jack by saying he will get to watch his father die, prompting Jack to hurl him off the rooftop into the spinning helicopter blades, killing him. John is thrown from the trunk and into the building. Now, 2 things here, all right? You'll get to watch your father die. At that point, I'm usually upset about this unless it's like a Deadpool where they stare at this point, I would not have been upset if he'd have stared, broke the 4th wall and go, do you not know what the name of the series is? It's not Your Father is Easy to Kill. It is Die Hard. And I will say this, at the time, it's a horrible thing that's happened to Bruce Willis, but at the time, you did not know that it was going to be the last film in the series. But if so, this is my favorite shot because it brings back, you call back to the first one where him falling off of that thing is just like Hans Gruber, except
like
he falls into the blades of the helicopter and is torn apart. But when he's doing that, I'm like, it's Hans Gruber again.
Right. That was what we called a throwback.
As Jack and John reunite, Irina tries to avenge her father by ramming the helicopter, now out of ammunition, into the building in a suicide attack. And I'll say this. I don't know how tall that building was in real life, but they went down about 200 floors. They're falling through everything. I think at one point, an elevator caught them, took them back up to the top, and then they started falling again.
Is this what, the second fall of the film? Because I'm remembering the one where they were falling down a trash chute for a little while.
Oh yeah. In the building where they're renovating and all that, he goes, we can make it.
And then they shoot out the trash chute,
and they're shooting at the trash chute as they're going through it.
Right. Yeah. At one point in time, they have now shot the portion of the trash chute that they haven't even fell through yet. I mean, really. So, okay.
To be fair to the villains, I'm usually not like this, but to be fair to the villains, they're not out there like, damn it, what did they say in physics class? How fast is something fall? I'm over here spitballing it. Mrs. Smith, the physics teacher's just angry at him. She's 87. Right. She doesn't get around very well. She hadn't taught in 25 years, but she's just furious and doesn't know why.
Hans Gruber is rolling over in his bag of ashes right now, saying how he should have been able to fall off. Because look, John McClane falling off buildings and surviving. But Hans can't do it. So one last time, in respect for Hans Gruber, Carl. I just had to say Carl. I like the way he said Carl.
But I'm not going to get into wherever they're going to end up. Let's just say the bad place. All right.
There you go.
Might be a waiting room. You never know. But wherever Kamarov ends up, Hans Gruber is going to be there. And Kamarov is just pissed. Yeah, I got thrown off by McClane as well. I don't see you getting separated by a helicopter on the way down, Hans. Because we both realize we're going to die anyway. But I'm like, at least I'm going to hit the ground. And they can maybe cremate my body. I didn't know they were going to cream it before they got to cremate it.
Nothing left. Hans. And then, because it's the bad place, Tony Danza comes out.
And Simon's over in the corner going, tell him, Kamarov, I got blown up in a helicopter too.
Why you make Simon so petty? Tell him, Kamarov.
And then all of the bad guys from the second one, y'all got blown up in a plane? No, it's a helicopter. Son of a bitch, us too.
Except for Johnny Cakes. Beef Swole Johnny Cakes is pissed. I got shot by some luggage. Yeah.
And then Thomas from the fourth one, I got shot too. Son of a bitch shot through his own shoulder, hit me in the heart.
He self-harmed to kill me. Come on, man. I told you, John McClane is a serial killer, bro. His body count is high. That is another one. Teaser for episode, folks. If y'all want it, definitely comment. If y'all like this idea, we should look at our heroes and rank them by body count.
Ooh. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Hey.
And then in the middle of all that, the bickering.
Oh, always.
Hans is like, the hell is Carl? And Simon over in the corner, petty as hell. Argyle got him. He's not dead. He's in prison, but he's got a pretty good life for himself. Went back, got another degree.
And he found love because they have apps for that now. Hans.
Got a good job in the prison library.
He reads now. Hans.
I've heard he's helped them solve a couple of crimes.
All right.
They come, Carl, it's been a hack. Can you look at this? Let me see what I can do. And he puts why does he sound like Morgan Freeman all of a sudden?
Hey, ever since I
Hans
was a little
Gruber was
boy,
thrown off of Nakatomi Plaza.
people have liked the sound of my voice.
As Jack and John reunite, Irena tries to avenge her father by ramming the helicopter into the building in a suicide attack. John and Jack leap off the building into a large pool of water as the helicopter crashes and explodes, killing Irena. Now another helicopter just exploding, and so she's going to wind up there too. But it's going to take her a while because this movie is only about 90 minutes long, but somehow it took that helicopter 30 minutes to crash fully. It's like, dude.
Big time facts. And so it was never, this is the thing that people have to understand messing with the McClane. You may go into a plan thinking that it's all about the money.
Right.
At some point in time, that plan is going to shift, and you are going to direct all of your living being on killing said McClane. Because if I'm in a helicopter and I could fly said helicopter away, I'm done. My dad's dead. My homeboy's dead. All of our henchmen are dead. They killed Bobby. Bobby was he was a kid. He just joined the force. So that's your excuse. Fly away. You can go to any island you want to. You gonna fly a plane in a helicopter at a McClane? Losing battle.
Which is why we go back to the second movie. Why didn't they just let that poor guy who wasn't with him on the thing, the appendicitis
right
thing? General, they said, I got to go with you. Oh, that's cool. Hey, would you mind going to go get my extra knapsack? Sure thing, General. Be right back. All right, go. Because they're not planning on coming back. Let's say it works. They go into that, that island with no extradition treaty.
Yep, that's a wrap. So, again, I'm all about educating y'all fans. So going forward, if you're playing paper, rock, scissors, and someone decides to be cool and play helicopter, you play John McClane, and it wins every time.
Absolutely. Having reconciled, John and Jack fly back home to America and are reunited with an excited Lucy. So, the film was originally titled Die Hard 24/7. The media speculated that the film would be a crossover between the Die Hard and 24 series, with Kiefer Sutherland to reprise his role as Jack Bauer alongside John McClane. The film's title was later revealed to be A Good Day to Die Hard, with no further mention of involvement from the 24 series, with a release date of February the 14th, 2013. When casting the role of Jack McClane, the studios considered several actors, including Liam Hemsworth, Aaron Paul, and James Badge Dale, before ultimately setting on Australian actor Jai Courtney. Mary Elizabeth Winstead also appeared in the film, reprising her role as McClane's daughter Lucy. However, all of her scenes were cut from the extended release. So if you've ever seen the extended release, she is not in there. Production began in Hungary in April 2012, with the capital Budapest standing in for Moscow. A military shooting range near Hajmaskar was used for shooting live ammunition, while vehicular stunts were shot at the Hungaroring, a Formula One racing circuit in Magyarország. A specially censored version was prepared for theatrical release in the United Kingdom, which was cut for language and violence in order to attain the 12A at the request of the distributors. The film's audio was mixed at Dolby Atmos surround sound in February 2013. Director Moore began work on a director's cut, which was later released on Blu-ray. Bruce Willis returns as John McClane and had expressed a desire to shoot an additional installment in the series following A Good Day to Die Hard before retiring the character. However, in March 2022, Willis retired from acting due to being diagnosed with aphasia, making this the last film in the series. Nearly a year later, he was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. In the United States and Canada, the film was distributed For night showings on February the 13th to 2,328 theaters. Select theaters also held a one-time special marathon of all Die Hard films to lead up to A Good Day to Die Hard's nationwide release, with Bruce Willis making a personal appearance at one of these marathons in New York City to thank fans. The film then expanded to a total of 3,553 theaters, including IMAX theaters, on February the 14th.
So, if I can say really quickly,
Sure.
because you mentioned Bruce's current condition, I'm hoping that they don't ever try and cast another actor in a reboot of Die Hard. But if you were going to make another film or a show that had Die Hard vibes, even if he doesn't speak, give me John McClane somewhere in it. I know he's retired, and I know his family would probably not. He doesn't have to even be on set. There's magic that you can do with movies. Just he's got to be somewhere in it, man. And I know that with the way things are going, probably in 2075, somebody will want to do it. He'll be gone by then.
Sure.
He's got to be involved in it somewhere, man. Because there is no Die Hard series without Bruce Willis doing what he did.
Oh, absolutely. His original idea before he retired was to like be writing a book about his life and narrating an earlier version of himself played by someone else that was going to be called Die Hard Day One.
Nice.
Yeah.
I could get with that because it's still him, So I'm for that.
Looking up something now because of what you said reminded me of something. And now, of course, my internet is slow because I said that, right?
Which is not a problem. I'm just going ahead and letting everybody know about the teaser for Die Hard 2075. That's going to be the title of the film.
There was an actor, Peter Cushing, who was in the original Star Wars film, and then they had Rogue One, which is a prequel to that film about what happens right before that. And between the two, Peter Cushing had passed away. They have him and his character in Rogue One with AI and CGI. Like they have somebody stand in and they do the superimposing of his face, and he looks very realistic.
They did the same thing with Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. Yes. So A Good Day to Die Hard grossed $67 million in North America and $237 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $304,654,182. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 15% based on 232 reviews and an average rating of 3.9 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, A Good Day to Die Hard is the weakest entry in the storied franchise, and not even Bruce Willis's smirking demeanor can enliven a cliched, uninspired script. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 28 out of 100. On both websites, the film ranked lowest among the Die Hard films. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A to F scale. On an A+ to F scale, the lowest score of the franchise. All right, so now we have been through all 5. TJ, I'm going to let you go first. We're going to finally rank them all.
All right, I like list. So I'm just ranking them all, or are we going back and forth? Am I ranking them all?
Go ahead and rank them all, and then I'll give you my ranking.
Cool. All right. So if we're starting with my number one watchability, I'm going 4, 2, 3, 1, 5.
We're close. We are very close. All right. We're only one off and flip them.
All right.
My ranking 2, 4, 3, 1, 5.
That's awesome.
I went on the fifth one. I'm like, the fifth one's going to be probably last, but I gave it. I put fair and put it up against each one, and I would rather watch all the other ones rather than the fifth one if I had my choice. Then I took the first one and did that, and it's not that the first one's a bad film, even though it came in fourth for me. It's just like I'd rather, if given a choice between the other two, and for me, I've now got the opposite thing that most people have. They're like, oh, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie because you can watch it anytime. I only want to watch it at Christmas.
Right.
That's or in the Christmas season, which for me, other than one thing we can talk about that much later, is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now that's when I do my Christmas season viewings.
I feel you. I'm usually in line to watch A Christmas Story, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, and National Lampoon's Family Vacation or Christmas Vacation, along with Die Hard, in between Thanksgiving and New Year's. That's when I'm most likely to watch those.
I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles every year the day before Thanksgiving because I'm trying to keep
a Thanksgiving movie.
I'm trying to keep in line of what they said. Oh, they said that we're going to be here and all of that. So that is my tradition. That's when I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for that. But we're very close. And tomorrow I could wake up and 3 could be the one that I want to watch over and over.
So that's the thing. It's like, for me, a film can be amazing, but not have watchability, right? Like I can say, all I needed was that one time. That's it. There's some movies that they did a good job. I'll never watch them again. If you're wondering, hey, TJ, give us an example. Okay, cool. Passion of the Christ. Mel Gibson, he did his thing in that film. I only had to watch it once. I'll never watch that snuff film again. Won't watch it again. Won't watch it. But I thought it was a good film. So Die Hard 1 actually has watchability. The fact that it came in fourth just goes to show that this is one series where the sequels were just a little bit better than the first
one. All right. So, folks, I know you're thinking, well, Joey, you and TJ went through The Sopranos. Now you've done all the Die Hard films. What's next?
Ooh.
I'm glad you asked.
Ooh.
We've got a couple of things that we're doing next. I'm going to mention the first two. Several. I say couple. We've got several things we're doing next. I'm going to mention the first two. We're going back to a TV series, but what TJ and I are going to do for the next few things that we're doing series-wise is we're breaking them down by season. So we're going to do our next series that we're doing is the first season of Community. And I'm going to tell you all this. If you have Peacock, it is on Peacock. And the last time I looked, because I just finished my rewatch, the last time I looked, it does have all of the episodes on there, including Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
At the same time, what we're going to do probably around once a month or so, or at least once every 6 weeks, I'm going to try to do once a month, is we are going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion over this. I went down a long rabbit hole yesterday, TJ. For us, this is what it means, folks. We're going to watch all the MCU films, all the Marvel films, so that we're talking about the films that started with Iron Man. All right. We're going to watch all of the one-shots that they also released. You can find most of those online. If you know where to look, go look at some tubes. That's all I'm going to say. Go look at where this show is located. Just go around. You can find a lot of them there. They're not hard to find. I believe
Send the check.
I think most of them are also on Disney Plus.
All of them are, yeah.
Okay, all right. They're on Disney Plus. And Disney, send the check. You all have the money. You just reported your profit. For the first time ever, you made a profitable quarter. Send the check. You can afford it because you're about to raise the price again. So don't send us a half of a penny of every dollar that you get.
Half of a penny.
I'm not, you know what? A quarter of a penny. I'm not a greedy man. I am not a greedy man.
And I'm talking to you bookkeepers. Linda.
So we're going to be doing that. We're going to do them in order. And folks, if you ever want to go down 8 different rabbit holes, go look at the order of what people put things in. But for us, we're going to do them one film and one thing at a time so you all can follow along. All right. The first 2 I'm going to give you right now. So if you want to kind of follow along with us, we'll be watching Captain America, the First Avenger, rather, and the Agent Carter one-shot. Those are the first 2 things that we're going to be watching. Following that, we'll pick up at Captain Marvel. That's in the 90s, and then we'll talk about what's beyond that when we get to it. So in the meantime and in the in-between time, TJ, go ahead and plug any and everything you got, my friend.
And folks, Art Crawl has been seen publicly now with some decent reviews. So shout out to my guy again, Joey, for making his theatrical debut voiceover. And we have put the Joey Harris Show out there. So if you haven't listened to it, that's where you'll hear me next. If enough of you petition Joey. Now, I'm not one of those people that says get a sign, but if you have the ability to rhyme and you like to chant stuff, I would not be opposed to you recording yourself chanting some really cool stuff like 1, 2, 3, 4. We want TJ on the show. Okay, that don't rhyme, but I need you to come up with something like that so that Joey can hear it, and it will not strong arm, because I don't want to strong arm anybody. Let's just force him to put me on more. So, hey, that's it. Thanks for having me, brother. Always.
Always, my brother. And those people said, what the heck is this guy? What is up with this voiceover? Let's just go directly into the action. That's what they were saying.
You know what? I did get that. I got that question. And then I said, just be quiet and watch the whole thing. And then once they got to the back half, they understood it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks for having me, man. I don't want to give away the entire thing, but I was on assignment, and then they never saw you, and then something happened. They'll have to watch.
Happens.
Send the check.
Have to watch. Hold up, but that's me.
No, the people who want to watch, if they send a check,
Yes.
You'll send them everything you have, right?
Listen, you send the check, I send you my draws. It's just that kind of Wednesday. I'm sorry, they knew what they were tuning into. It's what we're watching.
What we're watching now on YouTube, because somebody had what we're watching as the little, the channel is still called that, but you find it. We're not hard to find. We're not hiding it. Subscribe. No. Yes, subscribe.
You see this face.
If you hit subscribe, then enough of you do that, we can go live, and you never know what happens when we go live. That's when we get the big money, as we've learned.
Because all we got to do is fart.
For money. Hashtag.
I want that on a shirt so bad. That's going to be my next hoodie, bro. Like, really, like what we're watching now, hashtag fart for money. It's coming, bro. It is coming. K-Stop Customs. Let's get to work on that one.
Hashtag contractually obligated.
Seriously. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
Frank Sinatra.
Right. No money. You let me sing. No one lets me sing. But I love this guy because he says the same thing I do every day. I sing every day. And you know what he was doing? He was smiling.
Absolutely.
Props to that man right there.
All right. Thank you all so much. TJ, appreciate it as always. And we will talk to you all next time.